Hi.
Oh my gosh.
How's it going?
Oh my gosh, oh my god, I'm freaking out. We've only ever spoken over like comment sections and DMs.
How's it going? I love your attire. It's
Thanks.
very, very beautiful.
I had to represent for all the fangirls. I had to show out. I was like, which merch do I go with? Yes.
All of it.
All.
Yeah, you have the OG Cemetery Boys pin too. That's a
Yes.
rare one.
Yes. All of it. I had to take it off because I had like a banner that's like been on my wall with like all of my bookish pins, and like
Oh yeah.
90% of them, 90% of them are just your pins.
You're like, so let me take them down, and
I
then
was
there
like
we
taking
go.
them off like one by one and like standing in the mirror, and I was like, does this look symmetrical?
It looks amazing. Are you kidding me? This is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
But I'm so excited. Okay, so thank you so much for like participating alongside with like this other list of authors and book talkers for this event. For anyone who doesn't know, there are resources in at Kate's Books bio, because this is also raising money for charity. We're supporting two organizations, Save the Children Ukraine and Equality Texas, which I am super excited about. There are even incentives for donations with like prizes you can win and everything. But yeah, I'm so excited to be doing this Q&A with the Aiden Thomas.
I'm so excited to be talking to you because I feel like we know each other pretty well, and we
Yeah.
have like similar senses of humor. So it's like I'm like, yeah, oh yeah. So when
Yeah, it's
Kate
always so
texted me, I was
funny.
like, yes, finally.
Because we've been mutuals for a while, which I still
Yeah.
freak out about. And then I will forget that we're mutuals. And then all of a sudden you'll like comment on one of my videos. I'm just like, oh my god, Aiden Thomas is here.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I also know my mom is super excited because my mom is also a really big fan of yours.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
she actually, this was like the major like thing that finally made her like make a TikTok, was
Oh, really?
so that she could come on live and watch this Q&A. Like I texted her and I
Oh,
was
that's so
like,
exciting.
Mom, I'm doing a Q&A with Aiden Thomas. She was like, what? She was like, how did
That's awesome. Oh my gosh,
so
that's so exciting.
we're super excited. So,
Hi, Mom.
hi, Mom. So yeah, super exciting. So yes, for anyone who just stumbled across this live, Aiden Thomas is a YA author, author of Cemetery Boys and Lost in the Neverwoods, books that I'm clearly obsessed with. But yeah, when I fell out of reading like around high school and like my first few years of college, but whenever I found Book Talk, one of like the popular Book Talk books was Cemetery Boys, and it was like so healing to like my inner child to just like watch this like YA found family mystery adventure supernatural everything with just like a bunch of like brown Latina kids. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, what the heck? Which
Yeah,
was
it was
so exciting.
it was exciting to write, honestly, because when I was growing up, it was like people like me didn't exist in media, right? And so when you kind of grow up that way, you're like, oh, stories with people like me aren't sellable, or publishing isn't interested in them. And I think Cemetery Boys was a great example where the amazing readers were like, am I allowed to swear, first of all?
I swear all the time. So
Okay.
sure.
So I liked the fact that it did so well and hit list. It was like, no, fuck you guys. Like, these are the stories that need to be told and that people are like waiting and excited for. And like, Cemetery Boys was the first book about a trans character written by a trans author to ever hit list, which is mind blowing to me.
So amazing.
And it's not something that I like set out to do, right? I was just like, I'm gonna write a book about someone who was like me. And then when that happened, and then I was like, oh, and then I was like mad for a bit, and I was like, it should have been Case and Calendar first of all, but like, okay, fine, I digress. Um, But yeah, it's I think it kind of helped contribute to a kind of shifting tide in publishing, especially YA, and being like, no, like we need these stories. They're important. Readers want them.
Yeah,
So that's, I think, a big deal.
super, super important. Yeah, especially for like children now, but also just sort of like for adults who are
Totally.
like thinking of all like the YA and children's content that we didn't have growing up,
Yeah.
which is so amazing. And so you're kind of touching on this like a little bit, but what was sort of like the main inspiration for Cemetery Boys?
Yeah, so I guess like the actual like original premise idea, it was back when I was using Tumblr more often than I do now. And I followed a bunch of like writing prompt blogs because they would help me like get ideas either for a book that I wanted to write or short stories when I was in my MFA. It was very helpful for that. Um, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like laying in bed with my phone like at my face and
When
scrolling
the
as one
best
does.
ideas come to us.
Yeah, right, exactly. And there was this prompt. It was one sentence long, and it was, "What would you do if you summoned a ghost and then you couldn't get rid of it?" And a lot of people were like interacting and replying and like reblogging with these like really like creepy kind of like paranormal activity ideas. And I read it and I said, yes, what if I summoned the ghost and I couldn't get rid of it? And what if he was really cute? And that
And
was
what if
kind
they
of
fell in love?
yeah, and what if they fell in love? What if it was like this rom com instead of this really scary story? And that was honestly like the jumping off point. And then from there, it was like, well, if I want to write a book about a teen who's like me, then, and we're dealing with ghosts, it just seemed serendipitous to like be writing about my favorite holiday in the universe, which is Dia de Muertos. And then it kind of just turned into like, it felt like showing off, you know what I mean? Like I got to like write this book that was really kind of showcasing my favorite things about my culture, and like bragging about it and being like, look at how beautiful this is.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so that was really fun.
And like it there were moments because it's not like just like one Latin American culture that's like
Yeah,
showcased. Like we get bits and pieces of like love and appreciation for like various cultures. Like there's a
yeah.
line that like talked about the way Puerto Ricans roll their R's. And
Yeah.
I remember I like took a picture and I sent it to my mom and I was like, Mom, we're in this.
Yeah, and like that was like very intentional for me. And I was like, okay, what? Because I grew up in Oakland, California, and that's definitely like a hub for so many different kind of Latinx cultures. And like, I didn't want it to be like, oh, Latinx culture is this one monolith. It's like, no, like we're actually have a bunch of different cultures that come together, especially in the States, and kind of, form their own little unique communities. So for me, it was really important to be kind of showcasing all those different ones and to be like pointing out things that I really love about each culture, whether it's food or drinks or the way that they talk. Yeah, it was literally so much fun. That was like the best part of it.
So my friend Alex, whose username is Cemetery Gay,
I love
commented
it.
commented the way I have pushed this book to every one of my Mexican family members.
Good. Yes. Good. Excellent.
Yes, but yeah, Cemetery Boys was like crazy for so many reasons. And I was just saying, like before we got you on live, like there was a moment where I vividly remember where I was. I was in my home, like in Texas. And I was reading it and I had a moment where I realized that I was running out of pages. Like it was like that
Oh,
thin sliver,
no.
and I was like, no. And I closed the book to pause and I like started crying a little bit and I was like, this is a standalone. I can't say goodbye already. these are my friends.
Yeah.
I'm going on this
Yeah.
adventure with them. Um, yeah, I
totally
started
get that.
crying. I was like, because I was also like freaking out because I was like,
There's
they
a
better
lot
be
going on
okay.
at the end of that book.
I want them to be okay. But also, I was like, I can't say goodbye. What the heck? I need to live in this universe forever. And it was so good. And then I had a similar moment with your other book, Lost in the Neverwoods, which is your dark Peter Pan retelling, which I was not prepared. It was so much darker than Cemetery Boys. So like,
well, yeah.
so when Cemetery Boys was like my only point of reference for like your work, I did the pre-order campaign and everything, and like got the book in like as soon as it released. Put everything I was reading on pause just to jump straight into it, and so because of that, I didn't have very many people I could like scream to.
Right.
I was like, no one has finished this book yet. Hardly anyone I know has even gotten the book yet. Like, and I think it was like 2, 3 in the morning because I literally could not put it down, and I was like crying, and I was like texting my mom. I was like, the next time I see you, I'm shoving this book in your hands. You're reading it because I can guarantee you can read it quickly so we can have a discussion. And I just remember her updating me when she did read it. It was just sort of like, what?
Yeah, I think like I tried to warn people, but I think just because Cemetery Boys is such like kind of a very humorous book, and there's humor in Lost in the Neverwoods, but I tried to be like, hey, this is not the Disney version. Like we're going back to the like original, the canon, and we're picking out all the
with like missing presumed dead loved ones, and it's
right.
Like, and now we start the story, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's definitely a tone shift, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it's so lovely and like sad. And there were so many moments where just like I had to put the book down, and I was like, how dare he? How dare he do this to me personally? I was like, this is a personal attack on me.
It's funny because like when I made writer friends, like as I was going through the process of writing Cemetery Boys, so they were like very familiar with that story. They read it when it came out, and then when I was like, hey, I have a copy edited version of Lost in the Neverwoods, and like there was like 3 of my friends who like read it, and then they messaged me and they're like, I understand you a lot more on a deeper level after this. And I was like, we don't have to unpack all of that. Like, just read the book. Like, don't read into it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, like these books are so fantastic, and you clearly have like such like an intense love for it, everything. I'm curious about like how this whole like relationship with like writing began for you.
Yeah, so I was an incredibly reluctant reader. My parents couldn't afford daycare, so my mom would walk me to the library and like drop me off there on weekends when she had like shit to do. Um, and so that became like those poor librarians became like my babysitters. And so I was always kind of like around books a lot, but I wasn't really interested in reading. Like I would just keep looking at picture books, even though I was like much older than that age. And it took me until I was in 6th grade. My Lita got me a copy of Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and that changed my life. And I think it was because when I was younger, people kept trying to like push contemporary onto me, and I was just like very uninterested in that. And then to suddenly be like, hold on, ding dang minute, I can read about like wizards that have like
there were
dramatic issues.
Yeah, like reality.
Exactly. And I was like, well, now that I know this, it's like a whole different ball game. But so that's when I started reading and like enjoying it. But when oh my god, I meant to mention this because I saw that you were reading Animorphs.
Oh my god!
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. So those were like the only books that I would ever pick up because you can flip the corner and then they like change into their like animal shape.
Yeah.
But I am so excited for you to read the Tiger book. It's going to ruin your life, and I saw that you were reading that, and I was like freaked out.
Like I had never touched those books like when I was a kid because I saw the covers and I was like, well,
they're weird.
I was like, okay. I figured for whatever reason, I just looked at them and I was like, first of all, no. Second of all, this for like it just looked like it was like super informational, educational, informative. I was like, I don't want to learn about lizards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but then
so
you
I do not
start reading it, and it's like a whole other level.
And then there's a creator on here. Her name's like Lucky Lefty. And like months ago, she made. I'm gonna send you the analysis videos because she made
please do.
in-depth analysis videos talking about like the dark side of Animorphs.
Like, yeah, I'm telling you, the Tiger book is gonna like ruin your life.
Like on a whim, I just like downloaded the entire 54 book collection.
Like, I can't believe there's that many.
There's so many.
So many.
But then they're also middle grade and they're short, so I'm like breezing through it. Yeah. And I'm like on book 8 where it switches over to like megamorphs.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like book one of Megamorphs, and I was like freaking out. I was like, some kid's losing his grasp on humanity. This kid lost his
Yeah.
mother, and I was like, they have all this like trauma. Like Miss Rachel's going through her nihilism arc.
Yeah.
I was like, these characters, like some of them started out like so boring, and then all of a sudden they're just like, everything's meaningless. What's the point? We're all gonna die.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're like 12.
You're like, also, it's a little too relatable right now. Like, please.
No,
Like,
literally,
it's rough.
it was like impending doom, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I'm very invested. And then my friend Lomi, she was apparently a really big Animorphs kid, and so when she saw my Instagram story and was like,
Yeah.
she was like, you've never read these? She was, I think she was like, this is the reason for like all of my anxiety. She was like,
That's legit, though.
Messed me up as a child. So that's crazy.
Yeah, so that was like a really big series for me when I was younger too. But I started writing because when I was like in elementary school, I've always had very vivid dreams. So I would start like writing my dreams and like, horrible spelling, backwards letters on like loose leaf paper. Like when I was in like fourth grade or something. And then I got into fan fiction and online role playing, which is really how I learned to write. I have a bachelor's and an MFA in creative writing, but honestly, it was doing fan fiction that taught me how to write. And then, other than that, if there's people who are interested in becoming writers, like on the stream, you should absolutely buy "Save the Cat Writes a Novel" by Jessica Brody, because that is how I learned to plot a book. Like, I did not learn it in school. It was because of Jessica Brody, and she has a Udemy course if like that's a better learning tool for you. I'm a visual learner as opposed to like reading words. So yeah, highly recommend those.
Someone asked, while we were talking about Animorphs, what's a book series you'll never recover from?
Oh
In
God. I mean, Animorphs is really intense, but like brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm a really intense Raven Boy stan, I have to admit. So that one.
I have book one, but I haven't gotten into it yet. Just because I know I have a lot of friends who are like very invested in it. So it's like one of those things where I need to put time aside when I do start book one to eventually go down the rabbit hole.
Yes, the rabbit hole, then you have to like update people while you're reading it. So that's really intense. But I mean, whenever I hear what book ruined you, it's the Song of Achilles, like hands down, my whole life. I have a Song of Achilles tattoo on this one is a Song of Achilles tattoo. It's kind of hard to see, but it's the hands of Adam, and then that says Patos, which is most beloved. So that book ruined my life, and I still have not recovered. So
I'm staring at. I was trying to decorate my dorm room with like artwork and stuff, and I was like, I'll just make it myself because I'm getting a fine arts degree. So I'm literally like looking at like two different pieces of like Song of Achilles artwork that I made. I'm just like quotes. I don't know why I felt the need to decorate my space with name one hero who is happy, but that's I walk past it every day and I'm just like but it stays.
I have like a wall of fan art and like a lot of them are like really dark and I'm like but I needed it, so
definitely. But I think for me, a book series that I'll never recover from, I finished the Poppy War trilogy by R.F.
Oh yeah,
a couple
those are incredible.
I don't know how she does it.
She's so obscenely talented. Like there's some authors I read their stuff and I'm like, why am I even here? Like I guess for comic relief.
I think what's so jarring is that you see like her videos because she recently like got on TikTok and like her tweets and stuff, and she's so like sweet, and like so like soft spoken, and she's like, "Hey everyone," and then you like think of like the Poppy War trilogy, and it like tears you apart like from limb. Oh my gosh.
Torture.
But yeah, I finished that I think over winter break. I finished the trilogy at home, and then I just remember I finished book 3 and like the little bonus, the Drowning Faith.
Yeah.
Like, that bonus. Yep. I finished it and I was like so dehydrated. I had a headache, and then my sister walked in and she was like, because she came in, she was like, "Hey, we're picking up food. I need you to go."
She's like, "Are you good?"
And I was just like crying silently in the passenger seat of the car. We were going to the drive-thru, and I'm like known in my family for just like crying uncontrollably reading books, right. And so this wasn't like out of character. And right. My sister doesn't care to read, but this is how I know it was really bad for me. She asked me what the book was about.
Oh my god, how funny.
She hates reading. She thinks it's so nerdy and like
boring. No.
But then she was like, what happened? Like, explain to me what happened. That's
what
bad
elicited such a reaction. Yeah.
But yeah, like, and thinking back to like what you just said about some of like your fan art wall having like dark moments and just like dark moments from like different pieces of media. I'm curious to know like what the most like memorable or like some of your favorite moments from Cemetery Boys and Lost in the Neverwoods were, because I know what mine are, and and my favorite moment from Neverwoods is like, I think everything in Neverwoods is sad, but Neverwoods is very sad.
Yeah, it is. I think Lost in the Neverwoods, my favorite scene is actually one that almost didn't make it into the book. I was on my last round of edits, and my editor was like, "Hey, Aiden, we're at 93,000 words, and we kind of need to cut it back to 90,000 words. So if you can like trim it up while you're doing this fast." I was like, "Got it, no problem, done." But then I started reading it, and I was like, this book is heavy, and I know that it's heavy, and that's kind of the point, but it needs some like brighter moments to break it up. And there was this like long stretch where everything was kind of very low and like, close to our Dark Night of the Living Soul or whatever. And I was like, this needs a little bit of brightness. And so I actually added in the waterfall scene, was very last minute. And so I wrote it, and then I was like, I had to turn in the draft, and I was like, "Hey, Holly," I was like, "here's my draft." And so instead of cutting it down to 90, I had bumped it up to 95 or 96,000. And I was like, I'm just gonna send it and see if she says anything.
You need to trim this down longer.
Here's more. I was like, is that what you want? Yeah, but she like got it and read it, and she was like, "Okay, great, thanks." I was like, got away with it that time. But
you know, it's so funny as you were speaking and building up to it. One of my friends, Elle, commented the lake scene is my favorite from Lost in the Neverwoods, so cinematic. Yeah. And now they're just like, my favorite scene almost got cut.
Almost wasn't even there. Almost didn't even exist. But yeah. So that was definitely one of my favorites. That was a fun moment. And in Cemetery Boys, it's the whole road trip scene. And that one I came up with, I was driving around in my car, and the song East Side by Benny Blanco and Halsey and Khalid came on. And if you listen to that song, it's a whole like 2 chapters of Cemetery Boys, like verbatim. There's the blue Corvette, there's driving to Malibu. Yeah, so that's kind of like an Easter egg, and it's like in the Cemetery Boys playlist that I have on Spotify. So if you like listen to that song, it really just kind of takes you through a whole chapter and a half of that book, and that was definitely my favorite. Yeah.
My friend Jess just said the quote, "Don't touch him," in all caps.
Yeah, that was a hard scene to write. I actually had to rewrite that one like 3 times because my editor kept being like, Julian's being like too intense and angry, because I had him going really feral at first.
More
and then
feral?
I had to yeah, like it was really intense. It was really intense, and at one point I had Lita like knock him out because he was like too intense about it. Like not like hit him, knock him out, but like use her powers to sedate him is what I mean. And at one point my editor was like, "Well, Aiden, you need to remember that Jules is working on his, anger management per Galadriel's request. So he needs to be, you know, showing that growth. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. But so I think I still was able to keep him feral while also showing that he's trying to like control himself in this moment, even though it's nearly impossible. Yeah, that's probably my favorite.
Alex says the one bathroom scene from Cemetery Boys is just
Oh yeah,
in my brain.
that's another one that was added in the last round of edits.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was another super last minute scene. Apparently, I come up with pretty good scenes last minute because that was another one of my favorites. Yeah, that almost didn't make it into the book.
I know. Oh my gosh. I know my favorite moment from Cemetery Boys.
Yes.
It's like whenever Julian scratches out Yaz's dead name.
Oh yeah, the yearbook scene.
I had to take a moment. I was like, I was so distraught. I was like, this was like the most pure, just like, and it was one of those things where it's like, their relationship is like built on so much mutual respect, and tenderness, where it was like, I know there would still be this level of care even if there wasn't romance involved, because that was just so him to do.
Yeah, and it's a very much like a he's so impulsive, right? And so while Yads would look at this yearbook that his dad had to save up for forever in order to pay $50 for it, and it's like coveted. Jules sees it and he's like, well, fuck that. And then like very like, and was like, there's a marker, great, blah, 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 blah. Then gets caught red-handed and he's like, what? No, I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah,
sort of
I feel like
that's not supposed to be there, so I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah, totally. Like, let me just take charge and fix it myself. Very Julian.
And then I think my favorite moment from Lost in Neverwoods, and I'll keep this as vague as possible just in case I haven't read it, but when we find out the reason for a certain someone hearing voices when they sleep, I was like, how am I supposed to recover? It was so there were so many mysteries in the book that didn't cross my mind as one. I was like, yeah, you know, sad trauma.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
yeah, it's rough. And that's, you know, a thing that I kind of pulled from the original canon, not like the circumstances, but, you know, Peter is known for being able to mimic voices. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you know, it'd be really sad and depressing. And then I wrote that.
You know what would hurt?
Yeah, you know what's going to hurt? You know what people are going to hate?
This is going to cause some damage with a smile on your face.
Yeah, I need to start like putting together a savings account to pay for people's therapy with that one.
Elle says any last minute scenes for the Sunbearer trials are not allowed to be cut.
Yeah, I had just finished copy edits, and so we're moving on to past pages, which is like the final time to make any changes. I'm trying to think if I've added. I'm constantly changing the endings of my books and the beginnings. And the beginning of Sunbearer was such a fucking pain in the ass. I think I rewrote it. Like, not just like rewrote it, but like rewrote 3 chapters of the beginning, I think 4 or 5 times. And at the end of it, I was just like, I don't care. Let's just get this book started. Like, I don't even care anymore. I'm sick of doing this. Yeah, so the beginning of that one was really difficult, but hopefully it
I'm super excited. Like any like crumb of information, I'm like on top of.
Yeah.
Like, released so far. Like you said, I think a few months ago on TikTok that you wrote a new creation story.
Yeah, a creation myth, which was really cool. That was so much fun. Well, okay, so like when I first came up with this idea, I was like, demigods. I was like, if I could just like come up with my own pantheon and creation myth in my own world, I was like, that sounds so easy and fun. Then I started doing it and I was like, wow, this is really complicated. And there's a lot of things that you have to think about. And I actually watched, there's a YouTube channel and it's run by the Hank brothers, I think. And it's called Crash Course, and they had a Crash Course mythology one. Yeah, and it talks about creation myths, and pantheons, and there's like 35 videos, and I watched all of them in a week and was like furiously taking notes before I started kind of plotting out. And one thing that stood out to me that I thought was really interesting was that the gods in a pantheon are a direct reflection of the values of that community. And so that was a really cool thing. And I was like, okay, well, now I have these like gold gods who are more important, and then these jade gods who are gods of more mundane things. I was like, okay, so what would this society view as a gold, and what would they view as a jade? And that was really fun, but incredibly complicated.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited because for anyone who doesn't know, the Sunbearer Trials is Aiden's next book, and it's described as being a combination of Hunger Games and Percy Jackson, which
but make it Mexican.
Exactly. So we're elevating them, clearly.
Yes, obviously.
But yeah, I'm really excited. Like,
I'm excited for people to like start reading it. Like, I got the copy edited version and I like sent it to some friends, but then I got tagged in a couple of posts on Instagram from like book boxes, and people being like, "Oh, I'm starting to read this," and I was like, I didn't realize that it was going to anyone else other than like my friends. And then the terrifying aspect of like this version is what goes to like authors I admire to ask for blurbs, so that's really stressful. So it's like
I was wondering what your tweet the other day was when you were like,
"Oh yeah,
you guys, the Sunbearer Trials is being read by people who are not my friends."
Yeah, and I was like, well, now wait.
But no, I'm super excited for like the development of the Sunbearer Trials, because it's book 1 in a series.
In a duology. So far, it's a duology with room for growth if I guess honestly you guys like it enough and want to stay hanging out in the world. I have some other story ideas. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited, and I'm excited to share more. We're going to be launching the pre-order campaign, I think like 4 months before launch. And that's when I'm really going to kind of start introducing you guys to the characters, because there's like 10 main characters and their gods, who, you know, they're, I almost said godparents, but no, they're parents who are a god, I guess is the way to say that. And just like start introducing you guys to the world building. And I'm really, really excited for that. I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, because I keep always like, I'm always like circling back to like the synopsis that's like on your site and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll read it and I'm just like, there's so much happening. Like,
there's so much
happening. I'm just like, there are so many people involved. But
yeah,
how different is it, like, writing a duology with like general potential for like a series than like your 2 standalones?
Yeah, it's totally different. I actually have to start writing the sequel this week. Like, I haven't written it yet. And I'm doing that this weekend. Yeah, it's Saturday, right? I have to start either tonight or tomorrow. And I'm really intimidated because like I've only ever written standalones. I'm like, I don't know how to write a series. I don't know how to write a duology. So it's been really stressful, but I'm a huge, like in the pantser versus plotter debate, I'm a huge plotter. So I like have a very detailed outline that I made my editor approve like 3 times. I was like, make sure this is what you want, because I hate rewriting. And my outlines turn into like a 0 draft. Like the latest rough draft that I wrote was my contemporary that's coming out in a couple of years. And that outline turned into 52 pages. So I plot like down to the nitty gritty because my brain is so bad that if like I could never just be like, I'm just going to start writing, because I'll end up like over here and my editor will be like, Aiden, we're supposed to be like way down there. I'm like, I don't know how this happened. So I need a roadmap that I can just follow step by step so that I don't end up somewhere like in the weeds. But it's been, I think writing the next one is going to be easier because like I already know these characters, I already know this world. And I'm not reintroducing you guys to them. We kind of just get to jump straight into the fun. And I think that's pretty cool.
All of the world building and like character introduction will be out of the way.
Yeah. So like theoretically it should be easier. I freaking hope, because like
who's to say?
Who's to say? I'll text you in like a week and let you know how it's going.
just said maybe this will help Cemetery Boys turn into a duology.
I have every intention of returning to the world of Cemetery Boys. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. My publisher's probably not on this call. Yeah. I very much want to, and like I have some ideas, but the last thing I want to do is to like shortchange you guys, the readers, and being like, I'm just going to write a sequel because I can make money off of it. I don't want to do that. I want to write a sequel that's just as good or better than the first book. And in order to do that, I need a really good story idea. So I have some ideas floating around, but I want something like super solid that I know you guys are going to love and that I'm really excited to write. Not just a book I'm writing in order to like fulfill my publisher's wishes. So, and I've been holding out.
Someone said Maritza gets a book.
I would love that. I would also really like
our vegan queen.
I know. I would, but because I am not a Afro Latinx girl, I would actually really love to make Maritza's story like IP, to have like an Afro Latinx writer come and write that story. I would love that. I'm very much into like collaborative stuff, and I think that like expanding that world and like, you know, graphic novels and that kind of stuff, I think would be really fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a graphic novel.
I want so bad.
My head would explode. Oh my gosh, because all of the artwork you've gotten on like official campaigns and stuff, and like all these book covers are just like so casually.
Man. Yeah, so good. So amazing.
Yeah, I'm like always so excited for like future projects, especially the very vague but very fascinating Gay Titanic in Space 2024.
Yeah, it's coming. I have no plot for it. Let me tell you, actually, how that book even like got sold is I was doing my launch event for Cemetery Boys with Adam Silvera, and he was like, what are their kind of like book ideas? Like, what do you have like coming down the line? And I just kind of started rattling off. I was like, well, I have like a Demigod's book idea, which ended up being Sunbury Trials. And I have this like Gay Titanic in Space, like vague idea. And then the chat blew up. And then while I was like doing my event, my editor DM'd me on Twitter and was like, hey, if you're serious about Gay Titanic in Space, we should make this happen. And that's how I sold those 3 books.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really the vague like quick that 4 words. Those 4 words sell it so. Gay Titanic in Space. There's so much there. It's like it's one of those things where like I'll be on the bus going to Target and all of a sudden Gay Titanic.
Yeah.
Like it flashes in my brain like, oh my god, I don't know what's gonna happen. I know I'm gonna love it though.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I've got vibes for it. Like if you're a Treasure Planet stan, that's definitely gonna be like, that's probably one of the big vibes books that I'll probably use, or movies that I'll use as a comp when it's time to like kind of start talking about it. But yeah, there's going to be like a heist involved, a real the Jack character is going to be like trying to steal some tech, and the Rose character is a diplomat's kid who is like has a very sheltered life, and yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's going to be fun.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be so much fun.
I think Treasure Planet is the reason I'm bisexual. So like,
I mean, yes, like, that movie turned everyone a little queer in some way.
Yeah, like you like Jack, and then just sort of like this evil, dark, most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
just with hair like the ocean. I was, oh my god,
yes,
freaking out. I think
literally
about Treasure Planet all the time. But the chat's freaking out. You said Treasure Planet, and oh my god, everyone's freaking out. But Alex said no one watched that and turned out straight. That was so true. Yeah, but I'm really curious to know, because like when we began, we were talking a little bit about like sort of like books that you loved like as a child, but
Yeah.
sort of like what would you say are the books that are like influencing your writer now? Your writing now.
Well, honestly, I would still say Howl's Moving Castle because I think what's kind of so wonderful about that series, but specifically that book, is that it's fantasy and there's some dark elements, but there's a lot of humor. And
Mhm.
I think with my stories, that's kind of always my big focus. Like we're gonna talk about some like heavy stuff, and but we're gonna do it with in a fun way. We're gonna do it in a consumable way. Like to preface, I believe that dark and sad stories are absolutely necessary and serve their purpose. But when I want to tell a story, I want to make those heavier things a bit more accessible and not like you're just kind of like being beat down by it the whole time. So breaking it up with lightness and like triumph has always been really important to me. So I think, yeah, Diana Wynne Jones still has like a chokehold on the way I write. Um, who else? I'm trying to think. Uh, Johnny Garza Villa's 1500 Miles from the Sun had a profound impact on me as a writer, and really informed like how I was writing my contemporary novel. So they're amazing, and I'm so excited for their next book, which is Ander and Santi. I can't remember the rest of it, but Ander and Santi. Um, so Johnny's amazing. And who else? Who else? Who else? I this is I am obsessed with Anna Marie McLemore. Um, they write the most gorgeous Latinx fantasy books that are like they read like a fairy tale. And I wouldn't say that that they like kind of inform how I write because they do it. They're just so they're out of my league in terms of writing. Like they're so good. Like I'm just kind of here for like comedic relief, but AM writes actual like poetry. And I got to read an early copy of Self-Made Boys, which is their trans Gatsby retelling, and it blew my mind. Like I read their
Sounds
work and I'm like, what am I
fantastic.
even doing here? Yeah, it's literally the best book that I've read in like several years. It's so good. I'm so excited for people to read it.
Just like making a quick note, just sort of
Yes,
like
it's incredible.
this Q&A is extending my TBR. Yeah. Oh gosh, we're getting close to like 5:40 or 6:45.
Oh
I'm
gosh,
thinking
yeah.
about it. But some like last things from the chat. Oh, Elle has a great question. How does it
Mm.
feel to go from looking up to authors to being friends with them?
It's wild. I feel like a fraud 98% of the time. And like when I went to what was it? Y'all Fest in Charleston a few months ago, I remember standing there in a group with Adam Silvera and Angie Thomas, and I was just like, they know I don't belong here, right? I was like that's
No,
obvious,
you
right?
1000% do.
It's totally wild, and it's funny because Adam said at one like in an interview question once, they're asking like what authors do you admire, and he said I admire Aiden Thomas because he talks about his books like he's part of the fandom, and like I do, like I'm still like
Oh
that
my god,
geeky like
yeah.
reader. Yeah, like I'm a geeky fandom person, and so I feel like 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 a total fake when I hang out with all these like authors who I really admire and respect, and I'm just kind of like a nerdy dorky guy just like kind of here excited about books. So it's totally wild, but I'm so thankful. And like when I met Angie Thomas the first time, she was walking, I was too scared to like introduce myself. I was like, I'm just never gonna talk to her, and that's okay. But she was walking down with Kobe, her dog, and I just kind of like we were passing each other, and I kind of just stepped into the way. I was like, "I'm so sorry to be bothering you." I was like, "I'm Aiden Thomas. I just want to say hi." And
Sorry,
she
I'm in
looked
the
at
same
me.
building as you right
Yeah, I
now.
am so sorry that I'm even talking to you right now. And she goes, "Oh, I loved your book," and I was like, "Thank you so much." And then I like ran. I was just like, I can handle this. I'm gonna start crying or something really embarrassing. So it's just like, thank you so much, like a really tight, awkward voice, and then just like ran for it. So yeah, it's totally wild. It's really really weird. I still feel like like I'm just the guy who kind of like snuck in when no one was looking.
Oh my gosh. But no, like you are such like a beloved author, like in general, but also like on Book Talk. Like when I think of like the sort of like Book Talk authors, like you're definitely on that list.
Oh, that makes my heart
Especially
so
like
happy.
like in the YA genres. Like anytime I like go to Target or Barnes and Noble or anything and I see your books, I'm just like, yeah. But also, why isn't it sold out currently? Like,
You're like,
what
why
is
are
wrong
these
with
being
everyone? But
it's funny because I'll like go to bookstores and I'm even just like so embarrassed to like even be talking to someone working there. So I'll go in and then I'll like make sure that there's even like any of my books to sign because I would be humiliated if I like showed up somewhere and I was like, "Hey, can I sign your song?" They're like, "We don't have it, Aiden." And then I'd be like, "I'm so sorry." Like I get really nervous. I have to go see that there are books. And then I go up and immediately apologize. It's like, I'm so sorry. I know you're probably really busy. I'm Aiden Thomas. And they've always been like really friendly because I like find the like YA section like person. I'm like, hi, I'm sorry. I'm Aiden Thomas if you have time. And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so happy to see you. And I'm like, oh my god, thank you. It's really cool. And I've been recognized in public just like shopping in Portland a few times. And like one time I was in like sweats and like not nice sweats either. I was at Whole Foods. I wanted some oranges. I wanted some overly priced oranges. And this guy like stepped into my path and he was like, "Are you Aiden Thomas?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh my god, hi." And I was like, "Hi, I'm sorry I look like this."
oh my gosh,
Everyone's really nice.
that's so exciting. But
Yeah, it
I'm
makes
so
me look
sad.
really cool in front of my friends.
I'm so sad we're at the end of the little
Yeah.
like, pocket because this just like flew by.
It really did. It was nice.
Yeah, but this has been literally so fantastic to actually like speak with you. Like this is
Yeah,
crazy.
it's fun. Yeah, if you ever want me to come and do anything, just hit me up. I'll do it.
Oh my gosh, yes, I would love to do this again. But yeah, like so some final like thoughts just like from the chat. Literally we love Aiden so much, so much. Aiden is so beloved in our circle. It's just so much love.
Oh, so kind.
Just from book talk in general. But yeah, like thank you once again for participating in this like book talk anniversary charity event. For anyone watching on either little stream, there are so many other events just like this with other authors and book talkers going on for the rest of the day, with like a whole packed schedule on like at Kate's Books little bio website thing. And yeah,
Thank you so much for having me. This was super fun. And thank everyone for coming. This was great. Great questions. That was really fun.
Yeah, this is so much fun. But yeah, I think that's about it.
All right.
Beyond, but beyond like everyone like flooding the chat saying how much they love Cemetery Boys.
Thank you so much. It's so nice.
So thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You
know
too.
that I'm gonna be watching more Q&As from the
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to hit up Sorry Bells one.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good one.
It was
I'll
good
talk
talking
to you
to
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my god. Okay. Thank you so much for everyone who's here. Literally my face is so hot. I don't know if anyone can tell, but like the corners of my eyes are a little wet because I was tearing up a little bit. I was literally losing my mind. Oh my gosh, thank you. This has been so fantastic. Literally my cheeks hurt from smiling. The corners of my eyes are wet from tearing up. I was trying so hard not to get like a shaky crying voice. Such a huge fan, obviously. Oh my gosh, thank you. I was so nervous. I always get really nervous whenever I'm talking to anyone, especially in like a panel or interview kind of thing, of like any awkward pauses. But no. Aiden is so cool to talk to. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. This has been so crazy, so cool. I was like shaking before this because I was so nervous. But yeah, I think I'm gonna log off and head over to some of the other lives that are happening. Gonna go read Lost in the Neverwoods now. Yes, go read Lost in the Neverwoods, and then update me on how much you cried because it's so sad but so lovely. What the heck? But yeah, thank you to everyone who was here. Want to be me right now? Literally, I'm going to be bragging about this moment. This is my it girl moment, to be honest. I've peaked mentally. So exciting. Oh my gosh. I didn't even think that this was like like in general, it was one of my like biggest sort of like dreams to like be able to like meet Aiden Thomas and like speak with them. And so, material girl. So I always thought that this like sort of moment would happen one day, like eventually, getting to go to like a press tour thing or like a meet and greet. But no, I got to talk to him here. And I got to share that with everyone. And this is so much fun. So yeah, thank you to everyone who has been so supportive. And thank you for like your questions. This has been so much fun. I think I'm gonna log off now and go watch some of the other live streams that are happening. Oh my gosh, yeah, I don't know how else to sign out, but this was so crazy. My face hurts so much. Best day ever. All right, thank you.